Hi, hello, my name is Lottie, aka Sneezy Ferret, and I am sorry, but I dropped the ball on this one. I completely missed it because it passed me by. I've been so obsessed by the digital ID thing, and although this does have elements of that, I missed it. So thank you to the commenter who poked me on this and said this is a thing. So it's about the Children's Wellbeing and School Act, or Bill, which is now with the House of Lords. Now, it has passed the Commons because, of course, it has. Anything which gives government more power will always pass. It's as sure as the sun coming up in the morning that it will be passed. So what is it? Well, it's not what the title states, really. There are elements of it which are so vague that it would allow the government to do all sorts of things with certain data and everything else. I hate vague laws. It shouldn't be a thing. We should never have vague laws. It's a problem I've got with our freedom of expression or freedom of speech laws in the UK. I prefer to see them more enshrined in law similar to the US's, where it's a founding principle. Because the way that it stands at the moment is if even one person is offended by your comment, no matter how harmless it might be, you can still end up with a police officer on your door. Metropolitan Police have said they won't be doing that anymore, but we'll see. As I said, government is always reluctant to give up any power over its populace, and they do like being able to quieten up dissenting voices. We could also go over the recent changes to well, it's supposed to protect under 18s from coming across any nefarious content online, but also seems to be blocking speech, right speech. Not hate speech, but right ideas speech. Even the BBC have verified that. So, yeah. So, what is this new thing? Well, one of the things that it's doing will be requiring that consent be given by a school, even a mainstream school, if you intend to take your child out to homeschool them. Now, most parents don't choose to homeschool their children. A lot of them are forced into it. I was forced into it after my child was bullied and had a plethora of health issues. I was forced to just take them out. See, the bullying aspect, that was dealt with by the school by them saying, well, gangs of girls are sometimes vicious and therefore you just have to put up with it. No. And the health issues, well, a few years ago the government put in new rules about attendance, meaning that schools now care more about the attendance than the well-being of the child. And unfortunately, I can't break the laws of physics. When my child is in a hospital bed, they cannot also be in a classroom, oddly enough. I cannot comply with something that is literally impossible. The school was terrible anyway, because no matter how many doctor's notes they received, or even letters from exasperated nurses, once I told them what was going on, and they wrote letters, and the school would miraculously lose them. In fact, sorry, I know this is a tangent, but yeah, bear with me. At the very last meeting I had with the school, where a local authority education officer was present, and she was good. She ended up being brilliant for us. Even she was just appalled by how the school had handled all of this. Absolutely appalled. They had lost all of the letters that they'd been sent. I had started sending them via signed delivery, so I could prove that. The person who was supposed to be in charge of that never showed up to the meeting, and once I explained the health issues that my child had, a lot of them just looked very embarrassed. Mainly because I went the dramatic route and I took with me a big holdall full of all the medications, creams, because there were several issues, and like hospital bags, and just dumped them on the floor. By that point, I was just livid and so exasperated myself that, yeah, it was dramatic and probably over dramatic. Either way, I then removed my child. I'd had enough. That was in year 8. I would have preferred them to remain at school with their friends. It wasn't a choice. It felt like I was forced to make that decision. If the school had chosen, though, with these new laws to say no, I would have had a child that was crushed. Their mental health would have been destroyed, confidence just utterly decimated. It was the only option. I think there should be more in place for parents that are forced to have to homeschool because of, I'm going to say, piss poor education given by local authorities. The school that my child went to was an academy, which is still open, but only just. The teachers were leaving in droves at one point. A lot of the children were being homeschooled. The local authority officer that was dealing with me, the education officer, again, she was absolutely brilliant, she put in a complaint about the school. They were investigated and things were put in place, but nothing ever changes. It never does. Sorry, tangent over. So I think it'd be a very, very bad idea to give that control over to local authorities, because sometimes they're not fair. And I didn't opt to co-parent with the government. oddly enough. I didn't. They weren't here to do the potty training and the tears, bedtimes and everything else, nor would I want them to be. I want them to back off and have less to do with our everyday lives, not more so. Anyway, the other issues, which probably could be the biggest issues from this, would be the increased data sharing across public services and a new unique identifier for children. Now, I already gave my child a unique identifier. It's called their name. And if another child has that name, well, you could go to their date of birth. Otherwise, you don't really need anything else, do you? My biggest issues with this would be clauses 4 and 31, which I'm going to read about in a minute. But they're kind of vague. Law should never be vague, ever. And buried in them is the ability for Starmer to be able to change them and for this digital tag to become more of a digital ID by stealth. So let's read about it. So it says, buried inside the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill lies the blueprint for Starmer's surveillance state. Clauses 4 and 31 will convert every child's NHS number into a single unique identifier, or SUI, a digital tag linking their school records, medical notes and family details into one government-controlled network. This system would allow councils, schools, the NHS and police to share private family data without consent or oversight. It's digital ID by stealth, and it begins the moment a baby takes its first breath. Once the state has access to every detail of a child's life, the line between supporting parents and replacing them begins to blur. Yeah, and that's what the state wants. They do not want mothers and fathers. They want government agents, because that way they can raise good little citizens who follow their every plan and never dissent. They would, in their... If they could have their dream come true, so their future of Britain, which they are heading towards anyway, is one in which we have no control over our own lives. It's very much the Chinese police state that they have. They would prefer the authoritarian approach. They do not like when the populations have a differing opinion. The last time our opinion was asked, it was at Brexit, and we didn't give the answer that they liked, and therefore they don't ask our opinions anymore. Our opinions are bad. It's not leading them to where they would like Britain to be. The future of Britain, as far as they're concerned, does not have anything to do with us, and we're not in it. So, when Starmer tried to sell us digital ID to stop illegal immigration, the public saw straight through him. Now he's repackaging the same system of control under a new banner. Safeguarding children is the fresh disguise for his authoritarian dream. The single unique identifier is his backup Trojan horse should a digital ID fail. The language has shifted, but the goal is still total control, and it's already begun. So in Wigan and Wales, pilot schemes are quietly merging children's NHS numbers with their school and social care records, without parental consent, without public consultation, and without a single vote in Parliament. By starting young, the government is playing a long game. A generation raised under surveillance will grow up thinking it's normal. By the time they're adults, their SUI will be as permanent as their name, and it won't end there. Yeah, the slow boil. Once built, the network will never remain confined to children. Every one of those children will carry their SUIs into adulthood, linking them to every public and private system in the country. The consequences are chilling. A system like this gives the government absolute control over who may access the essentials of life. Those who comply will move freely. Those who refuse may find their access to healthcare, education, banking and travel services quietly revoked. We've seen that in quite a few countries already. Vietnam, I think it is, they've cancelled, or at least prevented them from accessing 86 million bank accounts because they do not agree to the biometric ID. One wrong word online, one protest attended, one belief expressed outside the approved narrative, and the system will flag you for review, as we're already seeing in the UK anyway, with freedom of speech. Your existence reduced to a flickering green or red light on a government dashboard. The UK must not become a digital dictatorship where freedom and even family life depend on a database entry. And there is a link there to the petition, which I will put up as I'm saying this. We have a lot to fight against. Starmer is pretty serious about trying to get his digital ID in, whether getting adults to agree with it or putting it in via the back door for children. He's getting very good at that, so I've got to give him a round of applause for that. This, although, comes under the one heading of just digital ID, but is two different fronts now that we must continue to fight on. I will put a link in the description to the website Mass Non-Compliance. It does seem to be the best one I can find at the moment in regards to saying no to all of this. It's already tiring keeping up with the different ways they're trying to force this agenda through, and I must admit I'm kind of sick of it. And I'm concerned that even a change of government won't prevent this. Our two-party system in the UK. Now, I know that there are other parties which are coming up, and that's brilliant. And whether you agree or disagree with their policies, etc., I do think we would have a much healthier nation with more than just two parties who seem to be just two sides of the same coin, aiming for the same results, but going two different paths, two different routes. It's always the same crap, isn't it? Anyway, like I said, I'll put the links, the important stuff, either in the description or you would have seen it on the screen. I'm going to leave this video here because there's a few others that I'm trying to get through making as well. If you miss this, then like me, hopefully you'll find this interesting to look at. I love you all very much. Please, please, please take care. We don't live in a great country right now, but we are great people, all right? Each and every one of you. Pat yourselves on the back. Yeah. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.